Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas. When we talk about Kashmir, many of us still recollect this couplet, Agar Firdaus Barruye Zami Ast, Hami Ast, Hami Ast, Hami Ast. Just that if there is heaven anywhere on earth, it is here, here, here. And that is what Kashmir is. And what kind of heaven was it?
Yeah, they used to stick posters on your walls.
We did not even realize that things were going to get that worse.
Every day hear stories about these older people in their 70s and 80s dying like flies every day because of heat strokes. They just couldn't take the changing climate. They just couldn't adapt to it.
I don't think so. We were politically that much of aware, of what's going on.
One objective was to make it a 100% Islamic state. There's no question they wanted to do that, which meant driving out every non-Muslim from the valley, especially the core of the valley, Srinagar and major areas.
मस्जिदों में as far as I'm concerned, रास्ते में चलते हुए मस्जिद थे, मैंने कभी ध्यान ही नहीं दिया, हमने कभी सोचा नहीं इस तरफ कि वहाँ कुछ ऐसा हो रहा है. पर जो 19 जनवरी को हुआ तो लगा कि ये सब जगह तो चल रहा था ये.
What they have been through in the valley, many of us are not even aware of it.
He would sing it and tell us to remember the Pakistani national anthem. This is in a school in Srinagar, in technically India.
In 1986, there were riots against Hindus in Anantnag, that's a South Kashmir town, just because people thought that there were some Muslims who were killed in Jammu.
You didn't have an option. My parents, they didn't have an option. हम कहाँ जाते?
As we always say that history repeats itself and we should learn from history.
We would never want to pick up, any argument or anything, with anyone,
Even if everybody left in 1990, people were forced to sell property over the next 10 years or so. It was almost a racket of how brokers from Kashmir would come and tell you to come and sell your property at throwaway prices.
It seemed like that's it. Our life is done. हमें नहीं पता जलाएंगे, मारेंगे, butcher करेंगे, जो भी करेंगे. But again, we did not think कि हमें निकलना है यहाँ से.
I don't blame anybody for that, but there was no recognition, of course. There was no understanding of what really happened.
Our parents educated us to be inclusive, to be peace-loving, and not to be argumentative.
तो लाइफ ऐसे नॉर्मल चल रही थी, ऐसा कुछ अच्छा खाते पीते थे, अच्छे घर थे, 3-4 मंजिला तो मिनिमम सबके घर होते ही थे.
We had places to go to, name it Pahalgam, Mughal Gardens, and then Kheer Bhavani, that was our, religious place, we would look forward to going there, Shankaracharya, name anything. But the good thing about that was, we never felt scared.
Everything was very beautiful. All our relatives lived closely and we spent a lot of time traveling aspas. We used to go to the lakes, we used to go to the gardens, Mughal Gardens, Pahalgam, Gulmarg, all those places. Especially summers were beautiful. You have all the relatives come in from abroad, from Delhi and other places. And then it was like 2 months of partying essentially.
We had Muslim friends, we would play together, we would have fun together. We would go to their houses, they would come to our houses.
रैनावारी डल के बैकवाटर्स पे था. So हमारा जो एक्सेस था to the डल था. तो अब समझिए कि आपकी घर के बाहर किश्ती है.
The Kashmiri Pandit community had its own, of course, very old culture, and it was very strongly attached to the land. Like the functions, the rituals, they were associated with specific places within the valley. So every temple had its own kind of culture, its own history, and its own rituals as well.
People say that Kashmir से कन्याकुमारी तक भारत एक है, but I don't know how we were living that unity of India at that time.
What used to happen before this overt militancy actually started was that we were kind of a proxy for India bashing, in Kashmir. Say something happened somewhere in the world or in India somewhere happened, we would be the targets of their, anger.
Their meaning who?
The Muslims, the majority people.
Prior to, या तो हम इतने नाइव थे, इतने भोले थे, इनोसेंट थे, in that sense. और या हमें समझ नहीं आया, but मस्जिदों में as far as I'm concerned, रास्ते में चलते हुए मस्जिद थे, मैंने कभी ध्यान ही नहीं दिया, हमने कभी सोचा नहीं इस तरफ कि वहाँ कुछ ऐसा हो रहा है. बट जो 19 जनवरी को हुआ तो लगा कि ये सब जगह तो चल रहा था ये.
When you look back, were there some indications of something simmering against Hindus?
That kind of feeling, was always there. It was always at a subconscious level. But if you ask me frankly, we did not see it coming, actually, tell you the truth.
तो धमकियाँ मिल रही थी, मार देंगे, निकल जाओ यहाँ से.
कौन दे रहे?
जो आजू बाजू लोग थे, अपने ही लोग पराये हो गए थे. आजू बाजू जो कल तक इतने अच्छे थे, वहाँ पे मुसलमान नेबरहुड थे, मुस्लिम्स भी रहते थे. Everybody was threatening, निकल जाओ यहाँ से, कभी भी कुछ हो सकता है.
Few of our friends decided, let's go out and go out to Jammu for a few days and kind of breathe in fresh air so that, and then we'll come back after a few weeks.
जैसे सर्दियों में पाकिस्तान से आ जाते हैं टेररिस्ट, पता नहीं चलता, लोग आने शुरू हो गए. ये सब चल रहा था. जैसे मैंने बताया कि 88 में पता चला. Then later on I heard that this work was going on since many years. कई मुस्लिम्स अभी भी अच्छे हैं, ऐसा नहीं हम कहते हैं, बट दिमाग में उनमें ठान ली थी कि नहीं, हमने कुछ करना है.
We had never heard of bomb blast in Kashmir. We had never heard of gunshots being fired. So things started happening slowly here and there. We had a couple of bomb blasts here, shooting here and there. So, we suddenly we started realizing that this is something which is, going to take a very serious turn.
And even today, if you talk to Muslims privately, they will admit they achieved one of their two objectives, which was to drive out all the Muslims. And
when they had kidnapped Mufti Said, the Home Minister's daughter, and then they released the militants they wanted them to release in view of releasing her, that kind of emboldened them a lot, and that's where we realized that things have taken a serious turn, because what really followed after that,
you would feel that isolation, I don't belong here, and it's clearly being told to me indirectly, symbolically, or through the actions that you're not one of the people here.
Very, very sad tales of what happened to Kashmiri Hindus.
After that December, when they released Rubia Said killers, what followed in 1990 basically was a random killing of people. Random killing of people for no reason, and that is when we really got scared. It could be that you are going out of the house and you could get killed.
In 1988-89 started the terrorism in Kashmir. It was just the beginning of terrorism. My father-in-law started getting letters, flyers, letters, phone calls that you are on the hit list and you have to move out.
They essentially declared that Nizam-e-Mustafa or whatever, and that this is we want to be an independent country, and you could see that coming, and maybe some other people told you about this. We used to get PTV in Kashmir, and PTV at that point, Pakistan television, was very popular because you used to have American shows back then, which Doordarshan did not, and you could see the venom and the poison they were pouring into Kashmir through PTV at that point of time. They would have these shows which were designed to instigate Kashmiris, and they would have this really poisonous propaganda all about how Kashmiris are being tortured, how the women are being mistreated, how their children are being killed, and it was all lies. It was, at least as far as I can tell, it was all lies, of course. But and they would combine that with these very militaristic music and this whole, and they would combine this with this global idea of global jihad, and kind of taking their inspiration, I guess, now in hindsight, with what happened in Iran with the Iranian revolution, all that, of creating a Islamic freedom movement in Kashmir. And just seeing that, you would feel that fear. I'm a Hindu, I'm watching this, and my neighbors Muslims watching this. If I was a Muslim, I would be very angry right now just watching this TV. And they were pouring that into Kashmir. I cannot believe why government of India would let that happen at that time. Why didn't block PTV go into Kashmir? But it was openly happening.
It is the primary issue. It is what is taught at a family level almost. And again, I'm not saying every family indulges in it. And let's be honest, we can all agree that probably the majority of Kashmiri Muslims are to some degree against it, if not completely against it. But a vast majority of them almost feel an inner urge to partake in this?
वहाँ पे कश्मीर पे उस टाइम पे because they used to distribute propaganda cassettes also, तो VCR होते थे, तो and we would not see them, but we knew कि ये propaganda videos circulate हो रहे हैं, they're giving to each other, and these cassettes they have all this combination of basically what you would imagine एक jihadi camp में training होती है, that was taped on a video cassette and distributed to all the houses, and they would be distributed among all the Muslims among each other, and they would watch this and they would get riled up. They would get it was basically designed to make them angry and make them also believe that they could win independence, that this is possible, that if we just fight hard enough and we just care India enough, we'll get our independence. So that was happening, and it was done very effectively, you could say, by Pakistan to instigate the local population.
Even on that 19th January, तब भी हमने शायद या मेरे पेरेंट्स ने नहीं सोचा कि दिस इज़ फॉर एवर, क्योंकि उससे पहले दिसंबर में मेरे फादर को थ्रेटनिंग कॉल्स और लेटर्स आई थी.
क्या कहा था उन्होंने?
उसमें ये बोला था कि आप जॉब छोड़ के चले जाएं यहाँ से, और नहीं तो आपका घर जलाएंगे, आपकी बेटी को ले जाएंगे, आपके पूरे परिवार को जला देंगे. Which somehow he managed to talk to people in his office, जो बड़े उनके bosses वगैरह थे, तो somehow they settled it. We don't know how they settled, what they did, but they told him कि कोई problem नहीं है, आप चिंता नहीं करो, कुछ नहीं होने वाला है.
So men take more active role given the Muslim social hierarchy and actually pick up gun. But women play an active role in actually organizing campaigns, organizing protests, making it sound very liberal, that women are on the road seeking azadi, but essentially what they are doing is masking the theme of militancy behind a veil of feminism.
That somewhat younger local Muslim population, I think they suspended reality. They started believing the propaganda, and they believed they could become Pakistan tomorrow. And of course, you must have heard stories that they started circulating Pakistani currency locally. There was a point of time when they made local declarations that we have to start following Pakistan time, not Indian time anymore, and we should start following Pakistan standard time.
वो वरीड थे कि ओके बेटी जाती है रोज यूनिवर्सिटी, तो इसकी सेफ्टी सोचनी है.
Letting it be publicized of what happened in Kashmir would make it harder for people to claim to be secular, people who were the leadership, political leadership of India, to claim to be secular or maintain their image of secularism would become very hard. It would become untenable for them, and that's why it was suppressed at that point of time, because the leadership at that point they would have to either respond to what happened in Kashmir or admit to what happened in Kashmir and not respond to it. Either way, they would have to either face up to the fact that the other side was not being secular, or that they were not really truly secular.
What led to clamp of news from Kashmir, not only in Kashmir Valley, but all over India? Being in Rajasthan, I never knew many of the things that I know now. They were not being carried by newspapers by and large.
क्योंकि शायद कश्मीरी मुसलमान, I'm sorry, I should not say it, but it's a reality, को इतना ज़्यादा importance दिया गया था कि every other person, every other religion or every other minority did not mean anything. And how many of us were there? 4 lakh, 5 lakh? 5 lakh क्या होता है population? I mean, what would they do? क्या वोट मिलते हैं उनको 5 लाख से? वो भी डिवाइड हो जाते. हम तो पक्के कांग्रेसी थे. I'm sorry if we were. Even till his death, my father was a hardcore Congressy. So there was nothing like इनकी वजह से हमको कुछ मिलने वाला है. हम तो थे ही नहीं किसी गिनती में, और अभी भी शायद पता नहीं है नहीं है, but things are happening. At least हमारे जीते जी कुछ हो रहा है.
Right.
When you look back, and there was a lot of preparation, collaboration between intruders from Pakistani side and this Islamic militants.
See, all these people who became the leaders later on, most prominently the
Yasin Malik.
They were the part of this JKLF outfit, basically, and Hurriyat leaders. They were all separatist leaders. They basically started this, armed struggle, in Kashmir, and so. As time went by, they gained prominence. They became, for local people, they were heroes. They had like following, like cult following. People would really respect them wherever they went. So basically, they became the de facto negotiators for the people of Kashmir, basically. and these were the militant leaders that people would listen to more than the other political leaders at that time. So, as you know, this is what routinely happens in these situations, and somehow the politicians also realize that if they have to gain more traction in Kashmir, they better interact with these militant leaders.
Yeah, they used to stick posters on your walls. डायरेक्टली ना मिले, जब आपको पोस्टर मिलेगा आपके घर के बाहर कि आप निकलोगे नहीं तो आपको उड़ा देंगे, आपका घर जला देंगे. So that's a direct threat.
I see kids who are 6 or 7 years old throwing stones and they don't even know why they're throwing stones. It is unfortunate. And I can relate to them because I feel like they lost or they are losing their childhood just the way I lost mine. I lost it for a different reason because somebody threw me out of my comfort zone, my family out of comfort zone. They are losing it because their parents are not concerned about their future.
अच्छा, ये वाली बात जब हो रही थी तो पुलिस के पास जाता नहीं था कोई कि ऐसा हुआ?
To be very honest, everybody was even scared of anybody and everybody. You didn't know who to approach because जब आपको एक they were designated militants to each and every area. They were area commanders. जब एरिया कमांडर के यहाँ से कोई लेटर, जैसे मेरे फादर को आई, उन्होंने वो लेटर हमको दिखाई नहीं. इट्स ओनली एट द टाइम ऑफ हिज डेथ दैट ही टोल्ड मी व्हाट एक्चुअली हैड हैपेंड.
कौन सी लैंग्वेज में लिखा था?
उर्दू में. दे यूज्ड टू राइट इन उर्दू. सो वी डिडंट नो कि जो भी ये लिख रहे हैं, हम पहले तो हमने बिल्कुल सीरियसली नहीं लिया, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट. अच्छा ठीक है, लिख रहे हैं, क्या है, 2-4 दिन में ठंडा हो जाएगा, ठीक हो जाएगा.
वो जो कश्मीर में जो पुराने जो डाउनटाउन में अपने जो घर होते थे, वो जैसे बड़े बड़े घर होते थे, जब इंडिया पाकिस्तान का मैच होता था और वो इंडिया जीत जाता था और पाकिस्तान हार गया, मेरे को अभी भी याद आता, मैंने अपनी आँखों से देखा है थ्रू द विंडो, एकदम इंसानों को जो सामने मिला उसे काट दिया, फेंक दिया और वो सैक में बंद करके. दैट मेमोरी आई कैन नेवर फॉरगेट इन माई लाइफ टाइम. दैट वॉज विद माई ओन आइज. I have seen in those.
क्या इंडिया हार गया तो?
इंडिया अगर जीत जाता है तो पाकिस्तान, अपने जो मुस्लिम भाई लोग हैं, वो इतना they couldn't tolerate that India can win the match.
One day, me, him, and my friend's dad, who was I think he was deputy superintendent of police at that time. We were walking. हम एक दूसरे के पीछे चल रहे थे, and suddenly there was a shot fired. मुझे लगा कि मेरे डैड को हिट किया, and I ran home. Without thinking, I'm a 24-year-old adult. Without even thinking कि अगर मेरे डैड को लगी है तो I have to attend to him. I just didn't know how to react. I just went home and I'm crying. I'm telling my mother that everything is done. He's been killed and this and that. And she doesn't, because I'm blabbering. उस situation में तो आपको पता नहीं आप क्या बोल रहे हो. And she didn't understand either. So in a couple of minutes, my dad came back, and he said, "No, my friend's dad, उनका नाम Mr. Vatal था, he has been shot."
At that time, I think I was too naive to sense, what is, at the back of their mind. But they were kind of, instilled by their parents and elders, that we don't belong to India, we are Kashmiris, and Kashmir is independent of India, although, it is part of India, yet independent of India. That's how, they were raised.
Different emotions which one experiences, but you also feel deeply sad that people who were forced to migrate, being in their own country, and because they couldn't adjust to the different temperature of Srinagar and Delhi, they didn't live long.
When this terrorism started, we had a guy, next door neighbor. He was Haji. We used to refer to him Haji Saab. And he would come every day. He would say, Dhar Saab, make up your mind fast, You have to leave this place. Otherwise, your women folk, they'll be kidnapped and they'll do very, very wrong things with them, and you might get killed also. So my father-in-law, his name, Dr. B.N. Khashu, he was the first psychiatrist of Jammu and Kashmir state. And he dedicated his entire life to the service of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. His mind was there, up until his last day of life. This was the only thing that he kept asking us and himself, will I ever go back to Srinagar? And he did. I would say he really didn't die a good death. He didn't deserve that kind of a death. 2 or 3 days after they arrived in Jammu, they were told that their house has been burnt. And our house also had a Shivji's temple, in the yard. And along with that temple, they have burnt, and it's just razed to the ground.
Kashmiri Hindus were not given their due in terms of even having proper awareness and sympathetic support from rest of the India.
The problem in Kashmir predominantly happened because of the people of Kashmir, or to be more specific, some of the Muslims of Kashmir. Now, I'm not saying every Muslim in Kashmir was, an accessory to what happened to other minorities in Kashmir, but a vast majority of them was. Yes, they gained some support, both logistical as well as monetary support from Pakistan and other countries, but the bread and butter, the soul, the ethos of this movement started from local Kashmiri Muslims who were Indians, who were supposed to be Indians. And anyone who says that this is a political, a social, an economic, and educational issue, it's not. It's actually a religious issue. It may have tertiary angles such as politics, such as the elections being rigged in 1986 or whatnot, and go all the way back to 1947 and how plebiscite never happened. Those are all issues that have happened over the 60 years, which is where I go back to the history and I say this is not the first exodus that has happened in Kashmir. This is just something that we all have now started talking about because it happened within our waking conscious. It is at its core a fundamental religious issue.
In 1986, there were riots against Hindus in Anantnag, that's a South Kashmir town, just because people thought that there were some Muslims who were killed in Jammu, so they retaliated against minority community in Anantnag. There was a massacre of a lot of Kashmiri Hindus. There were rapes and killing of people. And later on, the Home Minister made a statement that Hindus are to blame for that massacre. So that was their mindset, at that time.
Somewhere around December of '89. I remember waking up early morning at around 4 a.m. This is winter, so it's really dark outside, to blaring sounds from a mosque which was literally 15 feet from my house in Bana Mohalla, Kashmir. So I wake up, I see my bua, my aunt, peeping through the window and almost sobbing. This was a sight I had never seen before, so once I was fully in my senses, I actually went all the way to the window and popped it open to see hordes of people. I could see to the end of the street on both the sides, and it was filled with people, mostly men, but also children and women, all shouting slogans of "Yahan kya chalega, Nizam-e-Mustafa." And this was basically being blared by the mosque near our house and other mosques surrounding our house, and people were basically reciting it over and over. It was such a violent experience.
This is 4 a.m. we are talking about.
This is 4 a.m.
Yeah.
It went on till, I think at least till 10, 11, when some police came in and dispersed the crowd. But what happened due to this incident was I felt so shocked that I fell ill. So I had mild fever and was really scared for a few nights. And between that period, so between January 19th, 1990, and I would say 6 months after it, September or so of 1990, more than 95% of non-Muslim Kashmiris basically left all of their belonging and settled in places like Jammu, Delhi, Chandigarh. Yetkya bene Pakistan, batavrostu batnevsan. So in Kashmiri it means or once you translate it from Kashmiri to Hindi or English, it would mean what will be formed here, i.e. Pakistan, without the Hindu men here, but with their women. So you're basically insinuating rape and genocide.
Yeah. And we don't know whether tears could bring anything back.
There used to be bomb blasts all over the place. आप बस में बैठे हैं तो पीछे से बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट हो रहा है. You don't know कहाँ से आया, हम चल रहे हैं, पीछे से किसी को बुलेट लगा, हमें पता ही नहीं चलता था ये हो क्या रहा है.
I come from a community which is very proud of its heritage and its way of living. So it also felt at times like we're being treated as beggars and homeless people, and that too in our own country. So I can relate to why a lot of people didn't even accept that sort of support, even though, to be honest, that support was very scarce.
People were hoping against hope that things are going to get better. The point is that the stress of leaving and then not knowing how the future is going to turn out, there was a lot of stress, a lot of psychological stress, a lot of mental tension those days.
It is kind of amusing now, but at that time मुझे अभी भी याद है कि in Jammu, like I would hear these older people talk to each other of going to some Swamiji or Sadhu ji and asking हम कश्मीर कब वापस जाएंगे, and they would come back with this story कि उन्होंने बोला अगले साल सितंबर जाएंगे, अगले साल दिसंबर definitely वापस जाना. So there was this both combination of hope and belief कि we are definitely going back, that this is all temporary, we are in Jammu or we are in Delhi, this is temporary, we have to go back. Every day hear stories about these older people in their 70s and 80s dying like flies every day because of heat strokes. They just couldn't take the changing climate, they just couldn't adapt to it. And I don't know how many people perished, just not killed by militants, but just being driven out of their homes and not being able to adjust to a new climate.
People are reconnecting with those emotions, and that relates to the recent step by Prime Minister Modi's government of having this abrogation of Article 370.
Abrogation of Article 370 and 35A were definitely overdue. It should have happened. There should have never been an Article 370 and 35A. So I know for a fact that I'm going to live there. I will be buying a house in Kashmir next year.
Maybe if this had happened much before than it happened, maybe things would have been different for us as a community in Kashmir.
The situation tells you something which you don't want to understand. You don't want to understand because you don't process that in the context of the glaring reality which is ready to kill you, basically.
Thinking practically about it, it's been 30 years since migration now, right? Most of our older generations have passed off. They are passed on. I remember my grandmother, till the last day she kept asking us, when will we go back to Kashmir, which she never could. There is a sudden activism in our community, something that had gone to our subconscious minds after all these years, 30 years have passed.
Absolutely.
Already has come up to the conscious mind, and people have started getting active, people have started talking about it.
They're almost forgotten without having been heard.
Actually, देखिए, abrogation से पहले या abrogation के बाद, to be very honest, हमें कभी कुछ मिला नहीं. हम वहाँ माइनॉरिटी थे. आप बताइए, माइनॉरिटी स्टेटस होते हुए भी हमें क्या मिला? ऐसा कुछ नहीं था जो एब्रोगेशन से पहले या उसके बाद एक कश्मीरी हिंदू को या पंडित को कुछ मिलने वाला है. कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला है. एक होमोजेनस एटमॉस्फेयर होना चाहिए. इंडिया इज सच अ ह्यूज डेमोक्रेसी. ऐसा क्यों है कि एक सेक्शन को बहुत ही ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंस मिल रहा है और जो बाकी हैं उनका कोई सही ही नहीं है.
किसी को उम्मीद नहीं थी कि we'll see this day will come.
Through introspection and overall balanced, objective mind of Kashmiri Pandits, there is a lesson for everyone, and especially for independent India as we see it now, a combination of challenges as well as warnings.